Hi, you're watching Construction Gaming and welcome back to Celtic City on Cities Skylines. This will be episode number 11 in the series, and in this episode we're going to be dealing with a transport interchange, transport highway interchange. But before I do that, just wanted to show you the transport hub from the last episode, working nicely with the trams coming in. There's plenty of people coming off and on there. How many have we got there? 26. Not loads, but there's still it's good usage, I think. We've got the two bus routes going into there still. That one actually is, what are you? You are on line details, the city centre south, and you have lots of people waiting, so I think we'll up him to 15 buses because there's 100 people waiting there. These UK buses, I can't remember who the creator is, but you can check them out in the assets list, which there's a link to in the description. Let's check that out. So, passenger bus, have I passed bus? Bus. These ones, they do have varying passenger capacities when you actually download them, but I've just equalised them a bit. So if you look at a normal bus, you've got a capacity of 30, so any single deckers like that I've kept at 30, so I'm not cheating really. But any double deckers I've increased to 40, just marginal. I think some of them had capacities of like 100, which is great, but don't feel like it's in the spirit of the game, so I've just decreased them ever so slightly. Other than the National Express coach, I've put that as a capacity of 50 because that would, I think in real life you'd almost have 60, possibly 70 people, I want to say, on one of these with the dual axles on the back, so it's not completely out of the spirit of the game. So I've done that, so there will be a few people waiting. There's still a number of people waiting there, but hopefully, let's check that out again. Line details, oh no. Yeah, it's gone down 80. So at least it's been used by a good number of people. We'll check that later on to see if adding extra buses has done anything. Yeah, we've got the tram working there, we've got the metro coming in, so it's all working nicely. Bit of parking as well, so there's park and ride facilities working. So what's that? I think that was the truck I was looking for in the last episode. It's a DPD delivery wagon. I think I've got about 4 delivery wagons in total, and I also have some of the actual goods wagons. Got a couple of those as well, just playing around. I just like to have some realistic vehicles within the game itself. So what was I saying in this episode? I was going to rebuild this junction here. Now if I just play the game briefly, it's a nice looking junction, it's quite compact. I do like the look of it, but as you can see we've got a bottleneck here. And we've got some single line traffic which has the potential to back up in the future. I mean, we're only at a 24,000 population at the minute, so this will be eventually used a heck of a lot more. So I have subscribed to this, which I've always wanted to use one of these. There's no way I was going to build one because it looks rather complicated. It's a Turbine Interchange. I've always wanted to use one of these, so I've subscribed to this. Looks rather good. I think I'm right in saying it's one of the most efficient interchanges that you can get, so that will be replacing this. There's also some other little bits I want to do with this highway as well, because I would like a bypass of some description, because this highway goes underneath this mountain for a long time, so it's not really going to serve. There's no way. I mean, I could possibly get a junction in somewhere, but it's going to be tricky with the mountain, so I would like some sort of bypass to come off and head up towards the northern end of the city, because I can see that there will be a demand at some point for traffic flowing in this general direction, but I don't know yet. Obviously I need to unlock another tile here, where there, that one eventually, but that's for a future project. This one is just basically me rebuilding this junction and some of the roads around it, just so it fits in a bit better. Not a lot I can do with this main thoroughfare other than turbocharging the entrance and exit. I could possibly do that, but I'm not going to do that just yet. So I think that is enough of me talking about what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to switch over to the time-lapse footage of me building this interchange. Okie dokie, so the actual construction of the junction itself isn't all that complicated, because I'm just plopping one that I've subscribed to. What took the time was getting all the approach roads in nice and to make them look smooth, and to get, because it's a bit bigger, so I did have to play around with the roads and plop the wrong junction down, costing 40,000 credits, which is a bit annoying. Don't know why I did that, I just wasn't paying attention. That's the right junction, the Turbine Interchange. The lead in and lead out roads are going to be 4-lane, like you can see here that I'm just putting in now, just so I can put in later on with the traffic manager having some proper merging lanes, and the merging lanes that come from the actual junction itself, upgrading those to 2-lane, because what you have on that junction, if you just keep it as it is, are 2 single lanes going into a single and onto the highway itself, which is not ideal. This bit took a bit of playing around with getting this slope just right. I didn't realise there was quite such a slope there, and that didn't look right at all. Wasn't happy with that, so just a bit of terrain with nothing really too complicated, just coming in with the slope tool just to make it nice and gentle, and then coming back in and trying to make the junction a bit more realistic with obviously the slip roads, and upgrading the approach roads. The actual exits, not so worried about. 1 into 1 doesn't really doesn't make much of a difference on an exit. It's the entry slips where that could be problematic. And then just coming in with the paintbrush, just try and add a bit of extra detail, add a bit of extra realism, not going completely mad with detailing, but it just adds a bit of extra something to the junction to make it look a bit more realistic. Next I just come in with the Traffic Manager President Edition lane tool, yeah that's the one, just to get the traffic merging into the right lane, because even though I'd put 2 lanes on the entry slip, those 2 single lanes that you can see on the right, they've just decided to cross lanes wherever they wanted. So sometimes you just have to coerce the sims into driving into the lane that you want them to. The lane merging in, the outermost lane merging in, does merge straight into the highway, which is not ideal, but it's still better than it was with the 2 single lanes merging into a single lane, and it should work, I think. We've got at least one smooth entry slip way, which goes from 4 to 3 eventually, but just nice and smooths the traffic out and stops the sims from doing crazy things where they decide to just change lane really quickly in front of another car and causes all sorts of problems. The roundabout section, because the roundabout's so close, that was actually quite tricky. I do put in some obviously lane connections here, but I think off camera I do actually come and delete the lane connections altogether, because I've got a National Express bus route which goes across the river, and it was using the highway, but once I'd put those lane connections in, on one trip it was using the highway, on the other trip it was using the normal road bridge, so I just deleted the actual lane connections because obviously something wasn't right. There wasn't enough room for the vehicles to switch over, and some of the vehicles are doing some crazy things in the middle of the roundabout, like crossing 3 lanes, which is not ideal. Now this episode's a bit shorter because obviously it is just a plopped junction, so I think I've pretty much finished the junction now. I've just come in off camera actually with some trees, but I've got a full cinematic this time rather than just a first person. I've actually tried to record a full cinematic, so I will leave it there for today, and I will say until next time, bye bye.